By Sri Lanka's best internet package for online learning and online working with many amazing offers. Call 1212 for more information. Sri Lanka Telecom.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Tonight, reversal of fortunes. Jinthupitiya Sea Marshal tests negative for COVID-19 3 days after testing positive. In October, cricketer Kusal Mendis remanded. Wrongs of the past. The Prime Minister takes aim at Sajid Premadasa for catering to a single ethnic community. Fight against COVID-19. The WHO discontinues trials of hydroxychloroquine and other HIV drugs. All that and much more coming up on First at 9. This Sunday, the 5th of July, 2020.
Nava sunlight sakura. Then Dikukal pavathina sakura mal suandin.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhamke Kanaka. Now, in an interesting turn of events, the Sea Marshal who tested positive for COVID-19 from the area of Jinthupitiya on Thursday has now tested negative for the virus. 5 tests had been performed on the Sea Marshal in question to establish this outcome. Meanwhile, following an enforced hiatus of over 3 months, children will return to schools tomorrow. Schools reopening is planned under 4 phases, and under the second phase set to be launched tomorrow, children from 3 key grades 5, 11 and 13 will return to school. The move comes at a time when the island's number of active cases are down to just 160.
Health authorities announced late on today that the Sea Marshal residing in the area of Jinthupitiya in Kotahena that tested positive for COVID-19 on the 2nd was not a COVID-19 patient. This announcement was made after 5 PCR tests conducted on the person in question returned negative results. Measures have also been taken to send 154 of the Sea Marshal's close contacts home from the Kandakadu quarantine facility after PCR tests showed that they were COVID-19 negative. After all, schools island-wide closed around 3 months ago due to the spread of COVID-19. Schools will once again resume from tomorrow for students of grade 5, 11 and 13 under phase 2 of the school reopening process. For students of grade 11 and 13 who will be sitting for the GCE ordinary level and advanced level examinations this year, the study period in school will be from 7:30 am until 3:30 pm. Meanwhile, the study period for the students of grade 5 who will be sitting for the scholarship examination will be from 7:30 am until 1:30 pm. The Health Promotion Bureau set out a series of guidelines for the students who will be resuming schooling from tomorrow. In the guidelines, parents should ensure that the students are sent to school with at least 3 reusable face masks and tissues to be used when coughing or sneezing. Meanwhile, students who are suffering from long-term illnesses or are under medication should obtain medical advice from a doctor. The class teacher should be informed in advance of the attendance of students in school. Students must also attend school wearing masks, and the guidelines urge parents to drive their children to school in their own vehicle whenever possible. The Health Promotion Bureau also set out guidelines for students to follow if they are using public transport. Once students return home after school, they are advised to leave their shoes out in the sun, wash their hands and have a wash and get cleaned, soak all clothes and face masks for 20 minutes and then wash, and should be put out in the sun. The Health Promotion Bureau also requests that students not be sent out to school if any family member has symptoms such as cough, cold or fever. In the meantime, the All Island Inter-District School Children Transport Service Association expresses their unwillingness to provide transport from tomorrow. They say that services will resume from the 27th of July due to tomorrow's resumption of school is limited to grades 5, 11 and 13, limiting the volume of students availing transportation services. Meanwhile, the total number of COVID-19 patients that have recovered from the virus in Sri Lanka currently stands at 1,903, while the recovery rate rose to 91.75%, owing to 18 persons being given the all clear to go home. That puts the island's active coronavirus cases at 160. In other developments, 283 Sri Lankans who were stranded in Bahrain were repatriated this morning, while 120 Sri Lankans were flown into the country from the Maldives. Meanwhile, 137 Sri Lankans arrived in the island last evening from Qatar.
Cricketer Kusal Mendis was arrested by police today after his vehicle driven by himself knocked down a cyclist who later died. The suspect is due to be produced before the Panadura Magistrates Court tomorrow.
The collision in question had happened at around 5 this morning. The vehicle-driven cricketer Kusal Mendis collided with a cyclist, leaving the cyclist dead. The incident was also captured on CCTV. Following the incident, the severely injured cyclist was admitted to the Panadura hospital, by which time he had succumbed. The deceased is a 64-year-old from the area of Gorakapola in Panadura. The police meanwhile said that Kusal Mendis surrendered to the Panadura North Police after an hour from the time of the incident. Sri Lanka opening batsman Avishka Fernando had also been in the vehicle at the time of the collision. Sri Lanka cricket captain Dimuth Karunaratne and several other players also called at the Panadura North Police Station this morning. Arrested Kusal Mendis is to be produced before the Panadura Magistrates Court tomorrow.
Another wanted criminal was apprehended by police today as part of the law enforcement authorities' efforts in eradicating drug racketeering and underworld activities. The arrested suspect is said to be one of the main suspects in the murder of another underworld figure known as Samyang. He was killed during a planned attack on a prison bus in Kalutara in 2017.
Officers of the Thalangama police station arrested criminal gang member Kuruppuge Chaturanga Pushpakumara, alias Battaramulle Banti, this morning. During the arrest, the suspect had been in possession of 6.42 grams of heroin and 52,000 rupees in cash. The police revealed that the arrested suspect is a disciple of the underworld figure Angodalokka, who is currently incarcerated. What's more, he is one of the main suspects in the murder of underworld figure Samyang, who was murdered during an attack on a prison bus belonging to the Kalutara Remand prison in 2017. The suspect was arrested pertaining to the incident and released on bail 7 months ago. Furthermore, it has been also revealed that the suspect had engaged in drug racketeering in the areas of Thalangama and Rajagiriya. In the meantime, 3 other suspects engaged in drug racketeering with the arrested suspect were also apprehended, along with a jeep. All the suspects were produced before the Kadubela Magistrates Court, during which permission was granted to question them under detain orders. In the meantime, senior DIG of the Western Province, Deshabandhu Tennakone, had this to say on the recent efforts taken to crack down on drugs and the underworld.
Now moving on to political developments, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna launched its election propaganda campaign in the Polonnaruwa district today with the patronage of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The head of state participated in several rallies and public gatherings organised in the district, and he also attended the propaganda rally of former President Maithripala Sirisena.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa participated in a series of public rallies of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna worked off in the Polonnaruwa district in order to give his endorsement and strengthen the party's election campaign. The head of state firstly attended the rally held in the area of Siripura in the Mulagala this morning, joining the propaganda rally of SLPP's Polonnaruwa district group leader Roshan Ranasinghe. The head of state also participated in several other public gatherings of SLPP's Polonnaruwa district candidates, during which the president's attention was drawn to many issues put forward by the people.
පොහොරවලට ගෙවන්න තිබුණු මුදල් බිලියන ගාණක් ගෙවලා නැහැ. ළඟ කන්න ඉඳලා අපි ඒක හරි ගස්සන්න. මූලික දේ තමයි ගොවිතැන. අපේ රටේ ආර්ථිකය හදන්න පුළුවන් ගොවිතැන. ගොවියට වැඩි මුදලක් එන්න ඕන. කලබෙන්නට ඒක තමයි අපි බලන්නේ.
Meanwhile, the president also had an audience with the people of Tambala in Polonnaruwa. In the meantime, the president also gave his patronage to former President Maithripala Sirisena, who is contesting the polls from the Polonnaruwa district. Former President Sirisena's propaganda rally was held in the area of Deepa Uyana.
There are more political news on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
කොරෝනා වෛරසය පැතිරීම වළක්වන්න සබන් යොදා දෑත් සෝදන්න.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa insists that a political party which caters to a single ethnic or religious community only looks after the narrow interests of that group and considers other communities to be outsiders or even enemies. The PM was targeting a pledge made by Samagi Janabalawege leader Sajith Premadasa in his election manifesto of the presidential election of last year, pertaining to the replacement of the word unitary with the formulation undivided and indivisible in describing the Sri Lankan state in the constitution. Meanwhile, addressing a political event, the PM said that it is beneficial for his party to have SJB leader Premadasa make various utterances.
Meeting of political activists of the Angunakola Palasa Divisional Secretariat was held at Wirecard yesterday under the patronage of leader of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa.
රටක්ම සංවර්ධනය කිරීමේ වැඩපිළිවෙල පහුගිය අවුරුදු 5ේදී නැවතුණා. ඒ නැවතිච්ච වැඩපිළිවෙල අපි වේගෙන් ඉදිරියට ගන්න ඕන. එමනම් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවත් ජනාධිපතිවරයාත් හැප්පෙන්න බෑ. රටක් සංවර්ධනය කරන්න බෑ මේ දෙක දෙපැත්ත ඉඳගෙන. අපි දැක්කා යාලට යන්න දීලා වෙච්ච වැඩේ. අද එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂී ප්‍රාදේශ සභා මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙක් මොකම වේද කියලා. මාව හම්බෙන්න උදේ. ඔයලා ගම අපි කරගත්ත වැද්ද ගමේ කාත්තරලා පිට මිනිහා ගාවට ගියයි කියලා. සජිත් ආවම සජිත් හොඳයි කියලා වැඩ කරයි යරවයි මේවයි කියලා මිනිහා පළවෙනි දවස්වල දැක්ක ගමන් ටික දවසක් යනකොට මිනිහා අල්ලන්නේ යාළ කැලියට යන්න ඕන. එයා වැඩි කාලයක් ගත කරේ ඒක මිනිස්සු දැනගත්තා. ඒකින් තමයි එයා ගත් ඡන්ද ප්‍රමාණය දවස ගානේ අඩු වුනේ. මොකද ඔහු කතා කරන තරමට අපිට වාසියක් මිසක් කිසි අවාසියක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද රැට ගණේල ඇරලා බලන්න ඕන කියනවා. තා දවසක කිව්වා මොකද්ද බොත්තමත් අද කරාම මිඩ්වයිෆ් වෙනවයි කියලා ගෙදරට. දැන් පසුගිය කාලේ වරාය විකුණලා දානකොට උඩ පැනලා ඇමතිවරු ටික ඡන්දේ දුන්නා. රටක් එක ගිවිසුම් ගැහුවම තියෙන ලොකුම ප්‍රශ්නේ ඒක ගිවිසුම් වෙනස් කරන්න බෑ. එයාලා බෑ කිව්වොත් අපි ඒ ගිවිසුමත් එක්ක යන්න වෙනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් රටක් එක්ක හැප්පෙන්න වෙනවා. MCC මේක ආවා. දැන් අපි ඒකට කොමිසමක් දාලා වාර්තාවක් අරගෙන මෙන්න මේ කාරණා නිසා මේකට බෑ කියන පදනමක් හදාගන්න පියවර අරගෙන තියෙනවා. ඒ වාර්තාව විහුන්ටත් යවනවා මේ තත්ත්වය පිළිබඳව සොයා බලන්න. දැන් අපිට කියනවා MCC එකට ඇයි තහනම් කරන්නේ නැත්නම් අයින් කරන්නේ. මොකද ඒක අයින් කරන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා අපි රටේ ජනතාවත් දැනගන්න ඕන මොකද්ද මේක.
Meanwhile, the Samadhi Buddha statue installed at the Mulkirigala Rajamaha Viharaya to mark the 50th anniversary of the Premier's political career was unveiled yesterday. The Prime Minister also presented the Mahasangha with the epistle declaring Mulkirigala Viharaya as a sacred site. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa released a statement to the media today titled SJB a cat's paw of communalist political parties. The PM took aim at certain pledges made by Samagi Jana Balavega's leader Sajith Premadasa in his manifesto during the last year's presidential election, especially that of replacing the word unitary with the formulation undivided and indivisible in describing the Sri Lankan state in the constitution, and devolution of powers of the central government to the provinces to the maximum extent possible. Noting the proposals in Sajith Premadasa's manifesto are identical to the proposals in the draft constitution tabled in Parliament by UNP leader Ranil Wickremesinghe back in 2019. The Premier says the inclusion of constitutional proposals aimed at the division of the country in the manifesto of a major political party is a cause for grave concern. Prime Minister Rajapaksa highlights, quote, a political party that caters to a single ethnic or religious community only looks after the narrow interests of that group and considers the other communities to be outsiders or even enemies, unquote. He adds that the country's most recent experience of the dangerous consequences of this brand of politics being the Easter Sunday terrorist attacks. The Premier concluded his statement requesting all voters to give SLPP an overwhelming mandate, exceeding even that of the presidential election of 2019, in order to put an end to narrow-minded communalism in the politics of this country.
Meanwhile, leader of the Samagi Jana Balavega and Colombo district candidate Sajith Premadasa insists that a government formed by his party will pump money into the economy and a fiscal stimulus package will be implemented to rid the country of the ill effects stemming from the coronavirus pandemic. Premadasa yet again revived his rhetoric from the presidential election, saying that a mechanism will be put in place enabling to obtain a live report on the daily development work with a press of a button.
The Colombo district candidate and leader of the Samagi Jana Balavega Sajith Premadasa participated in a public gathering organised by the party's Colombo district candidate Sujiva Senasinghe in the area of Hewagama in Kaduwala this afternoon.
රජයට කිසිම දැනුමක් අවබෝධයක් නැහැ ආර්ථික ප්‍රතිපත්තිය පිළිබඳ. හිතුණු ආකාරයට එක එක දේවල් කරනවා. අමුණාසල එක දෙයක් හිතේ තියාගන්න. අපි ආණ්ඩුව පිහිටවපු හැටියෙම 20000 ලබා දෙනවා. ඒ විතරක් නෙවෙයි. අපි අනිවාර්යෙන්ම පැය 24ක් ඇතුළත තෙල් මිලත් අනිවාර්යෙන්ම අඩු කරනවා කියලා මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ කියන්න කැමතියි. මෙදා පාර මේ බිහි වෙන රජයට නායකත්වය දෙන්නේ 53 හැවිරිදි තරුණ නායකත්වයක්. දැන් මට ආරංචි මේ මහ බැංකු කල්ලියට මේ පැත්තේ හිටපු සංවිධායකයෝ ගිහිල්ලා කියලා කමන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක ගැටලුවක් නැහැ. අපිට හොඳ සංවිධායකයෙක් හම්බ වෙලා තියෙනවා. සුජීව සේනසිංහ මැතිතුමා මගේ දකුණු අත වගේ දකුණු පැත්තෙම හිටගෙන මට හයිය දුන්න පුද්ගලයෙක්. දැන් එතුමාට දේශපාලනය කරලම සහකාරියක් හොයාගන්න බැරුව දැන් නන්නත්තර වෙලා සිටිනවා. හැමදාම වීඩියෝ කෝල් එකක් දුන්නොත් හැඬු කඳුලින් එතුමා ඉන්නේ. ඒ කර්තව්‍ය කරගන්නට බැරිව. නමුත් මං හිතන්නේ එතුමාට සහකාරියක් ගැනීමේ උත්සාහය ව්‍යර්ථ වෙනවා. ඒ මොකද වෙන මොනවත් නෙවෙයි 5 වෙනිදාන් පස්සේ උදේ පාන්දර 5 සිට රෑ 12 වෙනකන් පොදු ජනතාවට වැඩ කිරීමේ හොඳ ශක්තිමත් මාධ්‍යංශයක් ලබා දීලා එතුමාගේ අනාගත මංගල්‍ය සිහිනයත් බොද කරලා එතුමාගේ ජීවිතේම අපි පරිත්‍යාග කරන පොදු ජන සේවාවට.
In the meantime, the leader of Samagi Jana Balavega also participated in another public gathering that was worked off in the area of Ambagaha Handiya in Rajagiriya.
ආණ්ඩුව පිහිටවලා මම තමුන්නාන්සලට පොරොන්දු වෙනවා මේ රටේ ආර්ථිකයට මුදල් පොම්ප කරන වැඩසටහන අපි ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා. ෆිස්කල් ස්ටිමියුලස් පැකේජ් ලෝකයේ සියලුම රටවල් මේවා ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා. මොන බැංකු හොරා මේ වැඩේ කරන්න බැරියයි කිව්වත් මහ බැංකුවෙන් හොරා කාපු සල්ලි ටික ආපහු ආණ්ඩුවට අරගෙන ඒ මුදලුත් මේ රටේ ආර්ථිකය ගොඩනගන්නට අපි පාවිච්චි කරනවා කියන එක මේ අවස්ථාවේ කියන්න කැමතියි. ඒ වගේම මේ රටේ හැම දිස්ත්‍රික්කයක් වෙනුවෙන් කාර්ය සාධක බලකාය අග්‍රාමාත්‍ය කාර්යාලය තුල අපි ස්ථාපනය කරනවා. හැම දිස්ත්‍රික්කයකම එදිනෙදා සිදුවෙන සංවර්ධන වැඩ කටයුතු පිළිබඳව රටේ ප්‍රධානීන් හැටියට එක බොත්තමත් තද කිරීම තුළින් ඒ සිදුවෙන ක්‍රියාවලිය සජීවීව දැකබලා ගැනීමේ නූතන තොරතුරු තාක්ෂණ කේන්ද්‍ර කරගත් සංවර්ධන රටා අපි ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා.
Leader of the United National Party, Ranil Wickremesinghe, urges people to look at the bigger picture when it comes to the country's economy as it goes beyond domestic finances. Addressing a party event, Wickremesinghe said that he has the solutions to Sri Lanka's dearth in foreign exchange and insisted that his party is very proficient in developing economies.
An awareness campaign was worked off for United National Party supporters of the Kaduwala electorate today at the Sarvodaya Hall in Aturugiriya.
කොරෝනා එක පස්සේ ලෝකේ විශාල ආර්ථික අර්බුදයක ඉන්නේ. අපි මොකද්ද කළා තියෙන්නේ? සහනයක් දුන්නද? අද විශාල සංඛ්‍යාවක රැකියාව නැති වෙලා. කර්මාන්ත ශාලා කීයක වැඩ කරන ඉවත් කරාද? විදේශ සංචාරකයන හෝටල් වහලා දැන් ක්‍රියා කරන්නේ පෑ දෙකට කාමර දෙන හෝටල් විතරයි. මොකක්ද ආණ්ඩුව කරන්නේ? මේ ගැන කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ. මෙතන ලොකු චිත්‍රයයි පොඩි චිත්‍රයයි තියෙනවා. පොඩි චිත්‍රය අමතක කරන්න. මොකද්ද පොඩි චිත්‍රය? ගෙදර ආර්ථිකය. මොකද්ද ලොකු චිත්‍රය? රටේ තියෙන ඔක්කොම ගෙදර ආර්ථිකයයි, ව්‍යාපාරික ආර්ථිකයයි, ස්වයං රැකියා ආර්ථිකයයි, කෘෂි ආර්ථිකයයි දීවරාත්. ඒක ඉදිරියට අරගන්න නැත්නම් අපි කොහොමද මේක ගෙනියන්නේ? ලෝක බැංකුවෙන් කොරෝනා වලට දුන්න සල්ලි ගැන මොනවා වුණාද දන්නේ නැහැ. වෙන නැත්නම් ඒක හරි මිනිස්සු අතර බෙදන්න තිබුණා. විදුලි බිලෙන් සහන දුන්නානේ. ගෙවන්න එපා කියලා ඊට පස්සේ දැම්මත් මාස 3යි. ඒ මාස 3 බිල බලනකොට මාස 6 බිල වාගේ. මේ ගහෙන් වැටුනේ මිනිහාට ගොනා ඇනලා ඊට පස්සේ ට්‍රැක්ටරේ උඩින් තේමින උඩින් ගෙනිච්චා වගේ. මේ රටේ අද තියෙන විශාල විදේශ විනිමය හිඟයක්, ආදායම් හිඟයක්. අන්න ඒවා විසඳන්න කොහොමද මේ මුදල් හොයාගන්න එක මං කියනවා. මොකද එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය කියන්නේ ආණ්ඩු කරන පක්ෂයක්. ආර්ථිකය හදන පක්ෂයක්. අපි එන්නේ ආණ්ඩු බලය ගන්න. අපිට ඕන UNP ආණ්ඩුවක්.
Now, Putlam district candidate of the Samagi Janabalawege, former parliamentarian Ashoka Wadigamangava, passed away today following a traffic collision. The vehicle in which the former MP was travelling in was heading towards Nikavarate when it collided head-on with a lorry arriving from the opposite direction. The incident had occurred at around 3:45 p.m. in the area of Moragaskola of Padenia along the Kurunagala-Putlam road. The former parliamentarian was the sole occupant of the vehicle at the time of the accident, while he had succumbed to injuries after being admitted to the Wirecard hospital in critical condition. The driver of the lorry has also sustained injuries and is being treated at the Nikavarate hospital. Wirecard police is conducting further investigations into the incident. The 68-year-old veteran politician hailing from Anamadua is a former Northwestern Provincial Councillor and former Minister of Health, Indigenous Medicine, Sports and Youth Affairs of the Northwestern Province. Former Northern Provincial Councillor M.K. Shivajalingam has been released on bail by the Point Pedro Magistrates Court. Now, he was arrested by Valvetture Police this morning for evading court proceedings. The former parliamentarian had reportedly failed to appear before a court with regard to a case, and as a result, an arrest warrant had been issued for his arrest. Shivajalingam had been issued notice to appear before the Point Pedro Magistrates Court with regard to a case filed against him for allegedly obstructing the duties of police officers at an event held on the 29th of November in 2018 in Valvetture to commemorate the birthday of slain LTT leader Velupille Prabhakaran. However, the former MP had failed to appear before court with regard to the notice issued, and the court had subsequently issued a warrant for his arrest. He was arrested this morning at his residence and was released on bail subsequent to being produced before the Point Pedro Magistrates Court. Shivajalingam is contesting the upcoming parliamentary election from the Jaffna district as a candidate of the Tamil People's National Alliance, led by former Northern Province Chief Minister C.V. Vigneshwaran. Now, in other news, a fire erupted at a garment shop along the WAD Silva Mawatha in Vallavata today at around 11:20 this morning. The fire later spread to 3 shops nearby, including 2 clothes shops. The Colombo Fire Brigade said that 10 firefighting vehicles were used in bringing the flames under control. In the meantime, a firefighter sustained injuries during the dousing efforts, was also rushed to hospital. Later, Army Commander Shavendra Silva too arrived at the location and inspected the scene of the fire. The police, meanwhile, had to temporarily close the entry road to the Gulf Road for several hours owing to the blaze. The fire brigade managed to douse the fire by 3 p.m. However, the cause of the blaze is yet to be ascertained. Now, Indian police are said to be investigating an alleged betting scandal in which a sham cricket tournament was held in an Indian village and passed off as a T20 contest played in Sri Lanka. Reports say that players portrayed as Sri Lankan cricketers played 2 matches on Monday that were broadcast with live commentary on YouTube, along with ball-by-ball coverage on top Indian sports websites. The organisers had hung Sri Lankan advertisements at the ground for added authenticity, and put up tents to block the view from outside the remote rural venue set in farmland next to a busy highway. Media reports quote police as saying that they raided the venue in northern India's Swara village after receiving a tip-off that the matches were being used for betting. They added that 2 people were arrested on charges of fraud and gambling, which is mostly legal in India. We will see you shortly once more. Bear with us. Welcome back. This is First at 9. Now, as the trading of a fresh week is set to commence at the stock market from tomorrow, foreign buying is to be expected in the market following the buying seen in the market last Friday. Sri Lankan shares ended lower last week, dragged down by losses in financials and industrials. The all-share price index closed down 1.14% at 5,050.9. Let's take a look at what to expect in the market during the week ahead.
We feel the market will be slowed down in the next week, fear of the second wave of COVID-19 spread in Sri Lanka, and amidst low interest rate and high liquidity in the market will push the participants on the buying mode. Last Friday we saw a net foreign buying after few weeks, for that will boost the confidence on the foreign side. When the market is coming down, foreigners will absorb the market. Still we feel the selling side on the banking sector, especially commercial bank, HNB, non-voting, we are seeing the foreign selling, and the capital goods side, we feel the selling side coming from John Cales.
Now, German finance minister said today that he planned to give Germany's financial markets a watchdog more power in response to a corporate fraud scandal at payments company Wirecard that had escaped the scrutiny of auditors. Wirecard last week filed for insolvency, owing creditors almost $4 billion after disclosing a $2.14 billion hole in its accounts that auditors say was the result of a sophisticated global fraud. The legal complexity of coordinating between different authorities and auditors led to gaps arising in the supervision of Wirecard's accounts. The minister said that he would propose rotating auditors to ensure more independence and to examine whether the big accountancy companies should be both advising and monitoring one company at the same time. Now, Mason Greenwood scored twice in the Premier League for the first time as Manchester United came from behind to beat Bournemouth 5-2 and increase the Cherries' relegation worries. 18-year-old Greenwood equalised for the hosts after Junior Stanislas' shock 15th-minute opener before scoring United's fourth with a superb effort after half-time. Marcus Rashford scored the second goal through a penalty, and Anthony Martial then increased the advantage with a brilliant curling effort into the top corner just before the break. Bruno Fernandes scored United's fifth with a free kick from the edge of the box. And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.